I'm on Eye on Dependency. Garth and Anil Nazir, safety officers with the Lifeguard Services Division, to give you the ascent tips to keep you and your family safe while enjoying the beach, river, or pool. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Eye Dependency. Right here on 95.5 FM, live on the Eye Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And I know that it's not quite Easter weekend yet, but some of you may be out and about on this beautiful Sunday morning, and we hope that those of you who are joining us online will learn something from the videos that we're about to share and the conversation that we're about to have with safety officers attached to the Lifeguard Services Division under the Ministry of National Security, to learn all about what you need to know about how to be safe in the water, whether it's at the beach, at a river, or in a pool. There are far too many incidents of persons getting into difficulty and drowning. So I think the tips that we're going to hear today and the advice that we're going to hear today will be very useful to you today and the upcoming Easter celebrations. And
Yes, because during the Easter period, many people choose to flock to our nation's beaches and rivers and to enjoy some time outdoors in the water and sunshine with family and friends. So for this reason, we thought it important to have the Ministry of National Security's Lifeguard Services Division on here with us. And this is to increase the public's awareness of aquatic safety and what persons should be doing to keep themselves safe while enjoying our waters. So today we will have Lifeguard Education and Safety Officers, Mr. Allister Livingston, Mr. Anil Nazir. The officers will be speaking about what lifeguards do. They will demonstrate that to you as well, their role and responsibilities, and general aquatic safety. We know alcohol plays a predominant part of every celebration.
Yep.
And which reminds me of a situation that continues to exist in the having the residents of Woodbrook in a mess, but as a topic that we'll have to deal with, and we hope we can touch on it before we close today, because there must be some common ground somewhere. But let's head to the waters first. While Mr. Hinkson prepares to bring in Mr. Nazir and Mr. Livingston, we get you time to get settled, because as I said, I know some of you preparing right now to head to the beaches.
On your way.
Or on your way there already. And again, we have a habit in Trinidad and Tobago that all care is thrown out the window.
I don't like to listen.
And it's an ongoing problem with us here in Trinidad and Tobago. Lots of drunk driving going on still. And one of the things, I won't say it's my favorite topic to touch on, but rip currents. Rip currents, you can end up in one in seconds. What do you do? Well, the lifeguards will explain that as well. I've seen a couple of videos of people caught in rip currents, and man looking at it, just looking at it alone is terrifying. So I could just imagine what it feels like to get caught in a rip current. And I'm no fan of the sea. I can tell you that. I'm no.
That's well documented.
Yeah, that is well publicly documented. That the reason I joined the regiment and not the Coast Guard is because I'm no lover of the sea. I'm serious. We go shut down, we wait, come outside, sit on the road, call for a backup, we could come pick you up. Once that boat shut down in the water, well, it's you and water have to deal with that and rocking from side to side and waiting and hope you get rescued. And then, when I'm in water, I don't go above chest height. I'm no hero. I'm not been a hero in the water. That's probably.
And importantly, can you swim? That is an essential skill, that is an essential life skill.
Yes, I can swim, of course. I could swim,
So
but
then
not to
why-
show off.
No, but to save yourself, I guess.
Yes.
That's what most people would say.
Yes.
I can't swim, but I could save myself.
Yeah, I am very serious about that. I don't play with the sea. It's one of the maybe it's a phobia that I need to try and maybe need to do some scuba diving to get rid of that phobia. But I'm telling you all, people of Trinidad and Tobago, I am no fan of the sea. It's that simple. I'm not going to play hero. If I was to be judged by my powers in the sea to get married to Natasha, that's it. She would have to find somebody else. I wasn't showing off that powers in it. She said, see that boy there, go and swim out that boy and touch it. So the boy, the one on the sea selling the chairs. Not the one in the sea talking about, the one on the beach. That's how I would have dealt with that. I'm very serious.
But I think that one of the questions I would like to ask our guest this morning, I hope we will get to that, be able to get to that, is the importance of learning how to swim. And I know too that the Ministry of Sport and Community Development is having some free learn to swim classes for adults and children, and lifeguard and rescue life skills as well. Training going on free of charge at community swimming pools. So if you haven't taken advantage,
Is
I'm
that
sure.
marketed?
Yes, of course.
Well, I think
They're
people
fully
should.
subscribed. So yes.
Okay. So people are gravitating towards the program.
Yes.
But that's wonderful. That's wonderful because for an island surrounded by water, we should have better swimmers in our midst.
Of course.
And I think that's really important to know. So this morning we're going to be taking you, giving you some tips from these gentlemen. Going to be giving you some tips on how to be safe at the rivers and beaches, especially, and we hope that would resonate with you as you make your way. All right, so let's take a break, and when we return, we'll hook up. Yeah, let's take that break, short man, and then we'll come back with Mr. Livingston and Mr. Nazir. You're listening to Dependency right on I-95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. We'll be back.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangibles methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Some of us like to play games of chance, but remember, gaming should be fun, so don't get carried away. Play for a prize, but don't pay the price. Play for fun, but never for keeps. Play smart, but never play all. Winning isn't everything. If you or someone you know needs help, call our gambling addiction hotlines. Rebirth House 623-0952 or After Hours 466-3146 or Serenity Place Empowerment Center for Women 794-7980. An initiative of NLCB and Eye on Dependency.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the On Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Right, thank you for staying with us. And you know, Natasha, I really don't like to engage in much small talk on dependency and just get on with it. But I was just reminded when I was as a recruit, we had an exercise where we had to jump off the jetty with back and rifle. And the amount of our father and Haile Mary, I said before
Haile
I did that.
Mary.
because I know, but it was an exercise, to just tread water, in case we have good equipment.
Right.
Boy, that was, we passed eventually, but it was an experience. So, as I said, it's very important for us to learn how to handle ourselves and behave ourselves while we are at the beaches and rivers. So, welcome, Mr. Livingston and Mr. Nazir.
I think we have Mr. Nazir online right now.
Can you gentlemen hear? Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
We are.
Loud and clear.
Right. It's so nice, so wonderful to be here, sir. And ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much
Thanks
for
for
spending
joining
your
us.
time with us and for joining us. So let's get right into it. We've been hearing about the Lifeguard Services Division. Tell us what is the purpose of this unit?
Well, first and foremost, the mission of the Lifeguard Services Division is one of to preserve life and also to elevate public awareness in the area of aquatic safety through the application delivering a high quality of service in the arena of aquatic safety, thereby transforming the service into a platform for continued protection and safety for all our beach.
And
Right.
the role and responsibilities now
Of the lifeguards
yes.
attached to the division.
Well, the role and responsibility of the Lifeguard Service Division is to protect and to preserve life first and foremost in the and around the aquatic environment. Now, the professional lifeguard serve also as a manager for public safety in the aquatic. Our lifeguard service are like any other international professional lifeguard service. We have many responsibilities to provide a safe bathing environment at the beaches in Trinidad that are patrolled by lifeguards. We also encourage and use preventative lifeguarding methods, which include the marking of safe areas to bathe and also to inform the public of the dangers that may exist in and around the beaches. We also assist bathers in this task and provide preliminary aftercare. We also transport to the public health institution when it is required. We also maintain our life-saving equipment, like the boat, the jet skis, and the rescue board and rescue cans, stuff like that. Also our emergency equipment, our first aid equipment, that would be. We also maintain our lifeguard towers and extension of facilities. We also educate the public about water safety on our beaches and around their homes, which is most important because recently we had some drownings with 2 children who had lost their lives in swimming pools. So that is most important. We also do search and rescue of submerged victims when it's required. And again, when required, we also do search and recovery of submerged victims. We also have a first responder unit. So apart from responding to emergencies on beaches, we also respond to emergency in environment because most of our patrol beaches are in rural communities. So we would be the first line of defense for them, right? The first system to respond with us. In addition to that, We also do cliff rescues, for example, on the North Coast, right? We also do cliff rescues on the North Coast. So we have a wide scope of service beside in the aquatic environment that we provide for our people.
Gotcha.
So you said you all do, sorry, Natasha, you all do search and rescue, and you all have scuba gear then as well?
Yes, and yes, we do have scuba gear, and we do have highly trained lifeguards in search and rescue in order to use these scuba. So we are fully well equipped to respond to any type of situation like that.
Okay. I was going to ask a question.
Well trained, well trained, and so you mentioned first responders. You are trained obviously to do basic CPR, first aid, and to assist persons who may be physically injured by whatever they've done in the water.
In addition to that, I can add that, for example, in the Manzana area, a lot of road accidents we respond to.
Okay.
Yes, because again, we're the closest trained people in that particular area, that area being rural communities. A lot of road accidents, pregnancies. I've also responded to situations where kids fell, broke their hands, broke their legs, and we treated with it because of our quick response within that rural community. So it's not only on the beaches, situation beach we respond to, we also respond to plenty other different situations.
So so which means during especially the Easter weekend, you all encounter a lot of bad behavior. People drinking and driving and drinking till they fall down, and you encounter that as well.
Oh gosh, not only for the Easter, it is before the weekend, public holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I noticed.
It is a bit more.
Are the both of you in the same room?
Yes, we are.
Because we get a little feedback with each of your laptop speakers. So when one of you is talking, we're hearing that feedback. Is it possible that you could either separate, go to a different room, one of you go to another room, or mute your mic when you're not speaking, or mute your laptop?
Yes.
So you see, that
so
feedback,
when one is speaking, the other have to mute their mic.
and
so
the laptop is speaking.
Okay, let me just
All right, let's see how we can work around it. Now you all are responsible for a lot of beaches in Trinidad. What are the beaches the division have direct responsibility for patrolling and maintaining a presence on?
Okay, let's start that question.
All right. So just mute your laptop, Anil.
Allister, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. The beaches. How many?
The beaches that the lifeguards are responsible for under Ministry of National Security are 9 beaches. We have them in zones. We have Repercussions, we have Las Cuevas, we have Tarico, which is located in the north. And then when we go eastward of the country, we have Manzanilla, which presently is closed. And we have Mearo, we have Sally Bay, which is Celine's Bay near the bridge. Then we have Tuco, which is closer to the lighthouse. And in the south, we have Vesini, Lucera, and Quina. These are the beaches that are patrolled by the lifeguards, right? And it's a very demanding job in the sense of the hours that the lifeguard patrol. What we do, we try to advise people to go to these beaches when the lifeguards are on duty. And the hours are 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Right? And on those beaches, we have like I said, what you call the patrol captain. That person is responsible for managing the everyday duties of the beach, posting out the lifeguards in various areas, And then we have the front men, or what you call the lifeguards who are out on patrol. You're going to see them out in the towers, with the rescue cans and stuff like that. They are there to speak to the public, make them aware of the dangers. So it is the public's duty as well when you go to the beaches that have the lifeguards. You speak to them, ask them what are the meaning of the red flags, safe zones, what are the do's and don'ts, like that. How far we need to go out, and these kind of things to make our day very, very safe at the beaches, because we tend to take the water. Sometimes you may see it calm, and it is dangerous because you're safe and not swimmer. You can't swim when you go anything below above waist depth. You start to go to your neck, and then you encounter a current and you drop in. That water is going to be probably over your head. Then we have the kids. When we tell people at the beach, 8 waist depth. That waist depth is basically the child's waist depth, not the depth of the adult. Because sometimes people miscon, they have the message wrong. And you take out a child. Imagine you take out a child out in the water and you bathe in your waist depth, and that child drinking water and a wave coming, they come down. Right? So you have to be very mindful of that as well. Then we have the lifeguards when they're on duty use, different equipment. They are very skilled. The most common equipment that they use is what you call the rescue can, that little red buoy thing with the children. It's called the Baywatch thing. They use that as well. And then the whistle, which is there to alert. So what we ask the patrons and the bathers when they go to the beach, when you hear this whistle, take that time and look to the shoreline. That lifeguard there is to guide you. If they need to bring you in, go left and right. Because we do not understand. You're going to be trying to say, hey, that lifeguard only bothering me and all this kind of thing. 1 minute he moves me here, 1 minute he moves me this way. What happens is the current tends to shift sometimes depending on the tide. And it could move from the left, it could from the right, and sometimes the lifeguards tend to be shifting you around. So, we ask the public to, heed our safety calls, and we are there to make sure that everybody has a safe bathing day. Lifeguards also, they are trained in operating the jet skis, rescue boats, along with the scuba gears, in case, which we try not to engage in much search and rescue. They are trained in all these different areas as well.
If you're just joining us, you listen to Dependency. Good morning to your radio listeners on Facebook and YouTube family. We are speaking with Mr. Allister Livingston and Mr. Anil Nazir. They're both lifeguard education and safety officers, and we are trying to educate you about and on before you head out this morning or over the coming days or the weekend. Natasha, before you drop in here, did you all encounter people who refuse to listen to you all? And
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Did you encounter that?
Well, yes, we do. We have, those who play heroes. Guys go on the beach and they want to show off. They see little nice girls and they want to swim and impress them.
Yes.
You tell guys, hey, what's going on? If you know you can't swim too good, stay within the safe zone, right? Stay waist depth. All right. Then we have those who just not really haven't been under the influence of alcohol, who just totally harden. And then we have a new trend right now that we are facing with the population of the Venezuelans. They pose other problems with the lifeguards, to the lifeguards on the beach presently, especially at Maracas.
Why is that?
Language barrier that we are experiencing right now, they don't understand. They don't understand the meaning of flags, and then communication is a bit of a problem, and they tend to go far. And then we have also the parents that come to the beach with the young ones, see the lifeguards on the tower, and they say, all right, go and bathe right there. Look like that. And lifeguard are leaving my son and my children there, and they gone. Oh,
What?
they're right in the water. Yeah. We have it. You know, and
Yeah, but all you know the word aqua, right? All it,
you know,
all it,
we need to
I
let
mean,
these people know that the lifeguards are there to maintain that level of safety and to react whenever there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And we are not babysitters. It is your responsibility to look
Yeah.
after your children. And when they go in the water, bear in mind
Jesus
they should
Lord.
be only the distance of an arm reach. Never let those children go and use flotation device, ball games, because it is dangerous. It is dangerous.
Before you
A
go on,
lot of problems.
you telling me
Mhm.
in this time where all the human trafficking awareness going on, people would leave their child and say, lifeguard, watch my child for me or my children for me and go in the water.
Yes.
Nah, man.
We have them. They even we have a lot of lost children. We have those who will come. You know, in the modern technology, the cell phones and the iPads, they get a little break. Or the nice magazine. You know, you get carried with the nice environment, the coconut trees, and you're in a reclining chair and an umbrella, and you just forgot that my child is swimming and he's engaging. You know, just relaxing, but we have to be very, very mindful. Either whenever you're having a read or you're going through your messages, you have your child sit next to you. And when they go into the water, pay that level of attention to make sure that they are safe. Because they have to bear in mind, lifeguards are not only responsible for their children, they are responsible for all the bathers or whatever perimeter that lifeguard is responsible for. He needs to look at everybody's in that area. You're not supposed to get that attention on your child only.
Absolutely. And I wish and I hope that the people are listening are hearing this very important point. But we do have a couple of videos to share, and we want to share this next video, which talks about what the public should do when they go to beaches without lifeguards, because there are many of those, right? And as much as I guess lifeguards
Yes,
can't cover
actually,
every
that is in the
beach,
majority of Trinidad.
right? Because you all can't cover every beach that people bathe in. So let's
Yes.
go to that video. That's video D, and then you'll come back and run us through it again.
Hi, I am Wayne Drysdale, a lifeguard working with the Ministry of National Security. Today we're going to talk about beaches that you may go to that you've never been there before, or beaches that do not have lifeguards. How do you know how to be safe at these beaches? First thing, ask residents in the area about water conditions. They may tell you something about it. They may say, boy, people drown on that side all the time. You know you're not going on that side. Look at the water. If it's dangerous to you, then it is dangerous. Look at the slope on the beach. If the slope is steep, that's a dangerous beach. Never bathe there. Those beaches, as the water wash up, they'll wash back very powerfully, creating very strong rip currents. Tides. We have about 4 tides a day. Change about every 6 hours. A high tide, a low tide, a high tide, and a low tide again. People go into inlets or small coves when the tide is low. And when they go into these areas, tide rise, they are cut off from getting out. And in those areas, the water may come in and totally, there's actually no beach after that where they will end up in trouble. Fishermen, another one who skip the rocks to go out. When they reach out on the rocks, they then fish. Tide comes up, and then with bigger and bigger waves, they get swept off the rocks. All of a sudden is hook, line, sinker, and fisherman gone. Friends feel committed as if they want to go and help. And here we have multiple incidents happening. Just remember, be water wise, save lives.
So that was a short video about the beaches that are not patrolled by lifeguards. Either of you have anything to add to that?
No. Basically, the video kind of covered everything that we would have said on the program as well.
Now, we move on. Manzanilla to me is like a washing machine. Always that way, because the next one comes. Don't like Manzan. Up there.
Climate, the rising of the sea level. The sargassum seaweed hitches a ride. In addition to the seaweed, we also have jellyfish and the turtles as well use that particular current. That current is rich in nutrients, and because it comes so close to Trinidad, it creates that strong pull in the water because it runs straight up the Caribbean. It turns by us and goes up the archipelagos and them. So that is another reason why that particular area would be a lot more different than other beaches.
I've learned something this morning. I didn't know that at all. But somebody has a question. Let's
for children. But what are the repercussions of swallowing seawater, especially for children?
Well, is saltwater drowning and freshwater drowning is two different types, right? Now, with freshwater drowning being the more dangerous one, because when it goes into the bloodstream, it blocks the red blood cells from absorbing oxygen, right? And when salt water goes into the lungs, it creates mucus into the lungs. So if we have fluid building up in the lungs, there's no gas exchange to take place, right? So we can see how dangerous that part is. Now, with respect to the flotation devices, while we would recommend that you put on a life jacket for your child and stay within arm's reach of that child, we have to bear in mind that sometimes you put on a life jacket and it is an ill-fitting life jacket, whereby the child could fall off it, fall out of it, I should say. These armbands for the little kids on them, the ones that inflate, they can burst very easily and they can lose air. So while we might say, okay, my child in our floaties in the armband and they're floating in the water and they're okay. We have to bear in mind whatever that current decides to the child, very close to your child, arm's reach of your child. I hope I answer your question there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I still can't believe that in this day and age with education on human trafficking, that still resonated, that parents would leave their child or children
Are not, water competent or not a competent swimmer, and you bring your child who may not also be a competent swimmer, and leave that bob away in the sea. That makes no, because you are then you're putting yourself and the child at risk, because you can't save the child once he or she floats away with the current.
Yes, and that's what happened. And if I would give you a personal experience of mine. Just last weekend, I am stationed at Toko, right? And just last weekend, I saw this child bathing by herself, and she was like about 6 years old.
Wow.
When I approached the child and asked, "Where are your parents?" the child took me way up the beach.
Jesus
And
Lord.
I saw the parents sitting by their car truck, out food and eating and thing. And I asked the parents, "Well, mom, does this child belong to you?" And she was like, yeah. I tell she to take a bath because I see how far down the beach that little girl drifted. And when the child came out, the child couldn't really find the parents.
Yeah.
So these are one of many instances where we as lifeguards not only have to look out for the people who is bathing in the water, but we also have to look out for what is happening out of the water as well.
Yep.
Isn't there?
And we also have to track down parents, and on numerous times they want to beat the child on the beach. So you're scolding the child because the child came to us for advice because they were lost. And now you want to scold the child and say, well, I tell her to stay right in front. No, I could see her, but you were not paying attention to the child.
Correct.
Isn't it? I mean, there should be a charge for that. Unfortunately, you all not, have the authority to charge people, but this, and then that will cause, because alcohol and beach and having a good time, you just getting in their way, this could cause injury to a lifeguard too, because they are the ignorant parents who would attack the lifeguard too as well. It's so unfortunate, boy. I cannot believe what isn't it? Aren't we doing enough? And the scenery time just interrupted because of a responsible so-called parent leave their child to wander. on the beach. This time somebody don't have them in a car going some. Absolutely mind-blowing. And parents should be charged. I don't care how long can eating and drinking, you get in charge. It's as simple as that. Go to court and defend that. It's disgusting because human trafficking is a thing in Trinidad and Tobago. And when your child disappears, you have people looking for your child because of your carelessness and irresponsibility. It's just wrong. Let's go to the next question.
All right. So we still have Anil on the line with us. So I don't know where Allister went. But Anil, what type of training is required for lifeguards to be out on patrol? What kind of training do you receive?
Well, as lifeguards, we do a lot of physical training to meet the high demand of the level of fitness that is required to do our job.
Right.
We train on a Monday and a Friday, Monday to Friday, I should say, for at least 1 hour. This is ongoing training, right?
Anil, just hold on 1 second, friend, please.
Allister,
Allister, you need to mute your mic.
Yeah.
Remember, we have to coordinate this. Once one is on, the next one must mute their mic so you wouldn't have that feedback and echo going on. All right, go ahead, Anil. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So, education, for example, scuba, which you mentioned earlier, search and rescue, recovery of submerged victims. We also have motor launch captain, which is soon to be replaced by the boat master. We also have jet ski operations, first responder, stuff like that. Some of the lifeguards on the North Coast are trained in cliff rescue. Yeah, due to the terrain in that particular area. So all our lifeguards are trained in life support, and some are even trained to the level of EMTs. So I guarantee that all our lifeguards are properly well, and we are ready to deal with any task at hand. So as you can see that the lifeguards not only know how to
pull them out of the water because
no.
I just needed that.
Like if somebody tries to grab you, all our lifeguards are trained how to maneuver themselves in the water to take control of the situation. Right. We train in towing techniques and different maneuvers that we would employ in the water in order, I don't want to really say subdue, but to take control of the situation.
Yep.
One of our parents should be charged. And child taken away until the parent get training and parent and then child return. I agree with that. That's so drastic. And if you have a lifeguard now, get here and next thing people start marking that, and boy, we need to do more work. I think we need to do more work in Trinidad and Tobago with regard to this human trafficking thing because they really don't understand.
Highlighted. That's only one. And it really poses a challenge to the lifeguard service.
Tell us more.
We now have to focus resources and attention to find these parents, when these resources be focused in other more important areas.
So what are other things that
child parent is important, but those stuff could be avoided.
So what what other things you all encounter? Just touch on one or two. I mean, I'm sure some of them would involve alcohol as well. What other things that you all encounter with our responsible citizens in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, they have a tendency to come to the lifeguard tower and ask us to hold their personal belongings, cell phone, car, keys, and say, well, lifeguard, what's this seminar?
Just when you're breaking up there. We lost you there for a minute. Say that again.
To look after their personal belongings.
Right.
Their bags, their shoes, their sunglasses, their wallets, their car keys, and they want to leave it on the tower. Now, the lifeguard is a mobile person.
Correct.
So we would be walking up and down the beach, talking, sharing information, educating the public while we bag and stuff like that. Another very dangerous practice we see on the nation beaches, people take their towel and hang it up on with flags.
Man. Look.
Oh,
they would take their towel, their t-shirt, because they want the sand to get on it. So they would hang it on the flag. Now, this is very dangerous because if someone is bathing and they're looking to see exactly where they're supposed to bathe, they're seeing a blue, a green towel covering the red flag. Now, the red flag means danger, right? Yes. So you want to be able to make that red flag, there you go, highly visible. So if you cover that flag, beachgoer would not see that red flag marking probably a rip current or rocks in the area or some hidden danger. And some unexpected person may go into that particular area and get herself in trouble.
Correct.
Bonji. I'm a week here. Yes. Let's take a little break now. Before we do that, the role of the lifeguard who is on duty at a beach and river. Could you explain that?
What does an average day look for a lifeguard on duty?
Okay, well, first and foremost, address the river part of the question.
Right, yes, another popular place.
Lifeguards, we do not provide lifeguard services at our nation's rivers, with the exception of Sally Bay. Because of the uniqueness in where that river is located, that's the only river in Trinidad that you would find a lifeguard tower by, because of where the river mouth is. If you have ever visited Sally Bay, you would see what I'm talking about. So the Cora River, Valencia, and all those other popular destinations that our citizens, our main role and function of a lifeguard duty is one of prevention. So we, the lifeguard, take all the necessary preventative measures to ensure that the bather is safe. Now, the way we do this is, as I mentioned earlier, putting up flags. We use our whistles in order to attract attention, indicate to people, okay, you need to move left, you need to move right. And speaking to persons about where to bathe, some of the existing danger, because all our beaches that are patrolled by lifeguards are very unique. No beach is the same. So there are different dangers that exist at different beaches.
Right.
So again, let me reiterate, our main role is one of prevention. But in the event that we cannot prevent something, and because things happen, we then switch from that preventative mode into rescue mode. Right? So where the lifeguard will actually have to go into the water to rescue an individual. And in some cases, use life support to resuscitate an individual or provide first aid support as may require.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are discussing safety at our nation's beaches and rivers as you prepare to head out for the Easter weekend and heading out today. If you're on the road, we're speaking Mr. Allister Livingston and Mr. Anil Nazir, Education and Safety Officers of the Lifeguard Education and Safety Unit. Now, somebody, just going back to people leaving their possession, somebody suggested maybe you all should start charging them. So what about setting up a booth and you have somebody, you know, maybe make some money off of them if they're that stupid, then and irresponsible. Then have a separate shed, as we call it, and you know you have these armbands, tag the bag and you tag the possession and give them a tag on the wrist and let them spend the whole day and or make some money and charge them by the hour.
And this is where the municipal police could come in here to provide that kind of enforcement assistance to lifeguards. What do you think about that?
Yes, that in greater system. Done was the lifeguard concentration basically is already is where we have that large amount of people that influx crowd coming to the beach, and the influence of alcohol and other elements to the lifeguard.
Any one of you could answer this, and someone is now asking the question. Police.
Not presently.
I think that is something you all should, you know, make representation for.
John, to have that merge with
Mac for making that suggestion that you all by now should have a relationship with the Riverine branch of the that is there. Before we take this break, is there any distance that you all would not cover? Let's say you first of all, do people ever say that they don't hear the whistle? Or
approximately it's a Fox 40 classic, and when you blow that whistle, it gives you a blast of approximately 86 decibel, which is very within the perimeter of 50, 100 meters. They just don't want to hear. The only how you will not be able to hear that is if the person goes under the water. But most of the times, people from further down the beach, 200 meters, is like they will come up to say, "Lifeguard, I hear you blowing the whistle. What is going on? What's going on?" And the person right in front of you, 50 meters, 75 meters, and they just not paying attention because they feel that they come to the beach and they are being bothered by the lifeguard. And they have to understand we are there to maintain that level of safety. And if they feel that when we blow the whistle, we bothering them or we trying to prevent them from
having fun,
having a lovely bath, which is there to get your attention so that we could either bring in your level right and bring in to the safer areas.
folks, we're gonna take a break. Let's give Mr. Livingston and Nazir a chance to get a sip of water as we speak in water here this morning, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back with them, and they have some more tips for us. Couple more videos to show you. So if you can, the rip current boy, that is one anxious to talk about, that rip current. Right, so we'll be back. Stay right there.
Morning. Listen now. Ask no. Something out. Them new people and them up. Beauty. Where's that? Girl, the man does he pass?
Cases. Victims excessively long hours. They often sleep in the daytime and work long nights. They are male or female and may appear to be managing or controlling the victims. And they may even at times appear to be the victim's best friend, boyfriend, or employer.
We are the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Finally, Whelm Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit capitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University of Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Eye on Dependency will be a morning show in 2022.
That's right. Eye on Dependency marks 20 years on the air. We're taking our groundbreaking brand of radio to a whole new audience. From the team that took you inside prisons in the UK.
I was being held in charge for conspiracy to import cocaine into the UK.
We spoke with men and women who have paid for their crimes.
They didn't tell me if I bring him back and I get catch, I will get 14 years imprisonment. They didn't say that.
We brought you the glamour of feature film.
I do have a package to drop off in Trinidad.
For you, Alejandro, anything.
I will pay you each 5,000 euros.
And the squalor of death row.
I said come for us from a case in the High Court in Port of Spain, and it was in come my gate and pin from the gate.
And of course, the testimonies of men and women with drug use stories.
I was quite devastated and got involved with the wrong company.
The man who I used to deal with, he gave me a job to drive him around, just to go and buy cocaine and smoke cocaine.
From Toronto to London, New York to Los Angeles, Scarborough to Point Fortin, and everywhere in between, Eye on Dependency has been your source for drug information. Join us as we move to Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Don't miss Eye on Dependency. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We're talking aquatic safety this morning with Lifeguard. Education and Safety Officers of the Lifeguard Services Division, Mr. Allister Livingston, and Mr. Anil Nazir. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us. Now, we want to continue with some of the videos that we have. The next one coming up, which is G. Shortman, talks about the role of the lifeguard. And it may cover some of the things that we've already discussed, but if you have anything to add or you want to share an experience after we share the video, please feel free. So let's go to that video now.
Hi, I am Wayne Drysdale, a lifeguard working with the Ministry of National Security. Lifeguard's main role: 1. Prevention. We take all the necessary preventative measures to ensure that you are safe. If we are unable to prevent, we will then rescue. Then we go into the rescue mode where we come for you. And there are times we may actually have to create or do life support. Lifeguards are easily identified by the red short and yellow top that we wear. Take advice from lifeguards. They are the knowledgeable ones. They are the ones that know all about water safety and water conditions. Take their advice. Go to them if you need any information. Report any dangers that you may see around beaches or anywhere at all. Be attentive to a lifeguard's whistle. It's a way of attracting your attention. Lifeguards will use flags. Pay attention to the flag that they use. Lifeguards protect 10 of our beaches under the Ministry of National Security. These beaches: Aracas Bay, Tyrico Bay, Las Pavas Bay, Tope, Sally Bay, Manzanilla, Miaro, Quinam, Losiro, and Vesini beaches. These are the beaches we protect. So, we advise you, be safe.
So that was the role of a lifeguard. And if there's one thing I noticed in the video that I wanted either of you to address, there was a man with a baby on his hip who was walking out of the water as the lifeguards were beckoning somebody else to come closer to the shore. Is that something that you would advise people to go into the sea with an infant like that?
No. That's a no-no, because you see, parents tend to think that when you go out with a child, although you're an adult, you have to be very mindful that the water condition, especially if the water condition is unknown, you're going out with a child, and from knee depth or waist depth, you step into a rip current, and that water depth goes to probably your neck or even above your head. What is going to be your situation? Then it also poses the threat if you're going on a beach like Maracas or any beach that has waves, and that wave, you're going out and we side and a wave come in and that volume of water increases and the force of the water increases, it could tumble you over and wash your child from your hand, because we had cases where a guy went into the water with his child on his back, a 6-year-old boy, and we washed them, and we had to go and look for the child. And how we located that child is the child had on a bright swim shorts, and all we saw is the shorts, and the little child tumbling and rolling, and we have to grab him very quickly by his pants.
Right.
And so parents have to be mindful that, be very, very careful. You're not to take children out on your shoulders or hold them on your side and think that because you're an adult or a parent that you're going to have that firm grip on their body. No. When you lose your sense of balance, be it the uneven surface of the ocean, because you ever gone on beaches where they have a lot of little potholes. 1 minute you're walking on a level surface and you hit a little pothole, that is going to, set the balance, and you can fall in the process of falling. You could lose that grip of that child. And then you have the other incident where you have the waves coming in. Sometimes we have what you call freak waves. You go on, you see the waves, that's it, 3 feet. And all of a sudden you just see a groundswell 6 feet. And it slam you. You're trying to run and you're trying to you don't engage in.
Hi, I'm Wayne Drysdale, a lifeguard working in the Ministry of National Security. Today we're going to talk about rip currents. Rip currents are the number.
I am Allister Livingston, lifeguard with Ministry of National Security. Today we're going to talk about flags. Lifeguard use flags to identify safe and dangerous areas. Solid red flags are being used to mark dangerous areas. Rip currents, pothole, rocks, or any form of existing dangers. Bathers should not bathe in front of these red flags. Red and yellow flag, half yellow, half red, are being used to mark safer bathing areas where the lifeguard place two flags on either side where bathers are allowed to maintain that safety perimeter between
So you just saw that short video describing what the flags mean, what a red flag means, what a red and yellow flag means. It does not. It's not a rack for you to hang a towel on. It's not for style. Um, it's not for show. But I am interested in how you determine to put these flags. How do the lifeguards figure that out?
okay. Well, when the lifeguard goes out on duty in the morning, the lifeguard take patrol and he observe water conditions. Areas where we know that there's rock, we know that rocks turbulent enough or that sandy color, that channel heading seaward. Sometimes you're going to see a lot of ripple debris, going out in a line. And then sometimes you may even observe when the waves are coming in. You have that breaking wave, that force of or that body of water, which is the recurrent heading seaward, is going to create that force and cause the wave that we observe the recurrence. And what we do now, the lifeguards will place that flag in the center of or directly in front of that dangerous area, so that when public come to bathe, they will know that there's some form of existing danger there. Sometimes we have like fallen trees, and they tend to get submerged in the sand, and you have that tree or that log sticking out. We also have to mark that area as well to make sure that bathers do not venture into to these parts to be injured.
Yep. And so that changes, it would change every day. You go out and identify the
Yes.
hazards, mark them with the flags. And so that's why it's so important for people to pay attention when they get to the beach. Pay attention to where you should not enter the water.
Yes, because you may go to the beach today, and just supposing you see the red flag in one particular area, don't expect to come back tomorrow and see that current because of the change of tide, water condition. Those rip currents will not be in that area. So time to time you may go to the beach and you'll see the red flags situated in one area, and then next day you will come and you see it not in line in a particular area. It's because that the currents shift, they move. And that is all about, that's nature. And the lifeguards are just there to monitor the situation and identify the areas by marking them off with the red flags, so that the bathers, when they come there, they have to observe these red flags and stay away or do not bathe in front of these red flags.
Yeah, and even as a bather, even when you're in the water, I've noticed that without you knowing, you may drift towards an area where you're not supposed to be. So it's constant vigilance.
That's a
even
very
while
good
you're
point.
in the water.
And what we advise is that when you go into the water, people have to understand when you jump or you swim in, and because of the tide, you tend to shift from either east to west or whatever. From your body is buoyant, so when you jump, it shifts you, and then you have the current. So what we advise, when you go to the beach, apart from observing where the flags is and for you not to drift in front of these flags, you orient yourself. You take a fixed mark on the beach. You look at something like, don't take coconut trees because you know what coconut trees resemble, right? So you look for a roof, a building, and once you maintain that safe distance and that safe area where there's no potholes, no rip current, you fix yourself in line with that building or that marker, and every 45 to a minute you look to the shore and you make sure that you are in line with that, because sometimes you may drift and you may end up in a rip current.
You have another question about that. What I've always heard that, well, there's some confusion in my mind as to where should you be facing when you're in the water. Should you be facing the sea or should you be facing the shore? What is the safest
That's a very good point. You are never to put your back to the wave, so your back is basically have to be facing the shore, and you always have to be facing, because you back on a wave, and sometimes we have what you call freak waves or ground swells, and you unable to know or identify when this wave is forming or rising against with your back to it. But once you're facing it, if you can dive or probably swim out and get over that wave. So you'll be more aware of the upcoming dangers. But I do advise, if you're not a very good swimmer, do not go where the waves are forming and where it's going to pose that risk to you.
Yeah.
So we always stress on that you stay in the children, especially if the water is rough, you keep them knee depth. Adults, waist depth, because people do not understand when you go into the water, just supposing chest height, neck height, and you have a little wave or a little increase. Sometimes the waves won't necessarily have to be very big. If the wave comes up probably 2 feet, 3, you're already neck height of water. That is a additional 2 feet of water, which is going to cover your head.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, that water is, you're drinking out the sea.
Correct.
And
Correct.
yes,
Because I
it
had
makes you.
an experience like that in Maracas, and I swear that would never happen to me again. I went out, a wave took me, and all of a sudden I was tumbling to the shore.
Yeah,
I had no idea, and that happened in a split second. So no.
Another thing that people bathers do not pay attention to. Everybody, I want to go to Maracas, I want to go and ride wave, and it's a lot of fun if you know what you're doing and you're trained to ride waves. But do you know that when you go in the wave and that wave goes into that crest, that formation of the curve, it could actually pull you in and give you the tumble.
Yes.
You could be damaged on the seafloor. You could sustain an injury, spinal, shoulder dislocation. A lot of injury you can sustain, because we have dealt with quite a few injuries. And also, depending on where you're looking at that wave, it could pull you in and push you to the back in a deeper part. And when the wave take you in the back of the wave now, when you're feeling for the ground, you're on your tiptoe. You're tiptoeing like you're ballet dancing.
Yes.
And you're able to swim. So
Yes.
that also is a dangerous, thing that people do. They want to go and wave and they cannot swim. So this is why we tend to tell you, if you're not a very good swimmer, do not attempt to go into these waves. You are not trained to dive under these waves, because sometimes it have those waves that come very, very big. And in the process of diving, or if you do not know the perfect timing to get under that wave, that volume of water comes and slam you and keep you there. Sometimes you may be under the water for a couple of seconds, and within that rolling or that tumbling, you tend to open your mouth and start to, consume that water, and you start to drink the water out there.
Correct.
So,
if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Mr. Livingston and Nazir from the Lifeguard Services Division of the Ministry of National Security. And to one of my favorite rib current.
Your favorite?
Well, one of my something that I'm really I always pay attention to, especially standing. I experienced in story already where you feel the sand shifting under your feet while you think they're normal, and you're just feeling like the sand being sucked away from under your feet. Before we go to rip currents, are lifeguards trained? Are all lifeguards trained in spotting, like in your tsunami training, well, to know when a tsunami is about it? I mean, fortunately, it never happened to us in a major way. But are lifeguards trained in that as well?
Yes, I am trained in that level of evacuation. At one time, I don't know if you remember, in the year of approximately 10 years ago at Maracas, where they had the mini tsunami.
Yes.
Yes, I was actually instrumental in the evacuation of the patrons and beach that day. I was knowledgeable enough to do the sighting of the waves and the increase in the volume of water coming, and I alerted the other members of the team to have the bathers move to safer grounds. And that was at that particular day, there was a lot of problems for us in the people accepting what is being passed and safety advice, because people took out their cell phones and want to film these waves coming in. They want a video, they want to get live footage like they work with the media.
Yes.
And in that process, when we were using the megaphones, And yeah, lifeguards blowing the whistle and tell them, you need to get the sea farms. They weren't listening. And when the first two waves came in, it was chaotic. We had people being washed away because that volume of water, the white water, which you call the foam, when it got to the shoreline, it was approximately 6 feet in depth. And that washed all over the beach straight to the roadway was water at that depth. So you could imagine the kind of catastrophe we were experiencing there.
So if a bather, I'm in the water, I just touching on your experience a bit before we go, because do I know a tsunami is about to happen?
Well, when the wave come up, you're going to see, the water subsides or goes back out.
Right.
But normal wave, you're going to see the water subsiding, and that volume of water is basically going to be all around your foot. And once you observe that abnormal volume of water going out, you find it's going very far out. That is one of the signs you're going to see, you observe, because when that tsunami is forming, you're going to have that, what you call the drawback.
Right, right.
Water. And then you're going to have the
coming forward
after in a minute or 2, 5, depending on
the size of the wave.
Let's go to recurrence now. Short man, 29. Let's deal with this bad boy here. Rip currents that I know a lot of experienced swimmers that lost their lives due to these rip currents. So let's go to that and we come back and discuss it.
Hi, I'm Wayne Drysdale, a lifeguard working with the Ministry of National Security. Today we're going to talk about rip currents. Rip currents are the #1 reason for loss of life in this country, on our beaches, as well as around the world. Rip currents are like rivers in the sea. People call them undertows. They are not undertows. Rip currents pull you out to sea, not under. What happens is waves coming in will beat you under. If you can't swim, you will go under. How do we identify these rip currents? These rip currents are easily identified by the brownish discoloration of water, by the choppiness of the water in one particular area. It may look smooth, or waves sometimes may go crisscross in these areas. This is how we identify these rip currents. If you get into a rip current, you may suddenly find yourself falling into a deep hole. These areas are much deeper on the force of the water. You put your foot down, you're scrambling to get out, in difficulties, no footing. Try to go towards the side, parallel to shore, then swim towards the beach. If you are unable to swim, go on your back, float, wave your hand, call for help. Anytime you go to a beach, what you should do, once you go in the water, the seabed should be nice and firm. It should be no potholes or shifting sand. Then take a marker on the beach, something that would not move, and make sure every few minutes in line with that marker so the currents will not pull you towards them. Remember, be water, save lives.
All right, so that was your favorite. God.
Yes, my rip currents.
I'm surprised to know that they are the primary cause of beach fatalities. Actually, I didn't realize they were that serious.
And how often do they occur? It could just happen anytime. Unsuspecting, you could just end up in a rip current.
Well, the rip current, first and foremost, for people who do not have the know-how or the knowledge how to recognize a rip current, they would look at the ocean if they do not have that eye or the knowledge to see it. And they would just say, look, water, they're not going to pay attention to the discoloration and the little debris, the choppiness. They just see water and they decide, let's go take a swim. Or let's go in, and from walking we step, knee depth, you step into that channel and you're being pulled out. Yeah.
No, is it easy to to, let's say, jump out of a current. So every time you feel something strange with your feet, you have like 3 or 5 seconds to jump out of it and run back to the shore and say, I missed that one.
Yes and no. First, let me say, yeah, the getting into a recurrent, some people tend not to observe the signs. The leader recurrent, you have the feeders, you're going to feel your little potholes, your little sinks, and not paying attention to that, you're going to start to get the sinks and the potholes deeper, and you're going to end up in that area, the channel. So picture this, you're like on a seabed, which is level, flat, and here is you have a sink, or that channel, that drain, as you may call it in this terminology. And you leave that little shelf and you step down into that channel with that volume of water pulling out. That's the rip current. And how do we identify the rip currents? Most rip currents are actually formed on beaches that have waves. And that beach has a slope. So when that wave comes up and that volume of water goes back out, on that seabed there, we have that little depression or that little trench or that little. So we're
Yes.
going to have that water, volume of water. Most of it is going to concentrate in that area and continuous action of the wave coming up, going out, and volume of water increasing because of tide, high tide, low tide. For instance, on a low tide, you're going to have less water going into that area. On high tide, you're going to have greater volume going in, so that hole is going to get deeper and wider. And this is what is going to pose that danger. So we need to, observe when we go to the beach. We look at the slope, we look at the waves. Because remember, I said once the water comes up and goes, it creates that. And how we identify it is you take that time and you look, you're going to see that brownish line of water going out. You're going to see a lot of bubbles or ripples. You're going to see little debris, like little leaves in a line in that dirty water or that discolored water, because you're going to have the lighter color, be it blue or green or aquamarine, as you may. And you're going to see that discoloration of water smoothing. Sometimes you have it straight, you're going to have the little bubbles. And anytime you see that in the water, you need to not go in these areas. And on the beaches where you have the lifeguards, you'll observe that you're going to plant that flag directly in front of that area. If you get caught in a rip current, what should we do? First thing you need to do is stay calm. Try to always get to the sides or swim parallel to the shore. If you can't stand, do not attempt to swim, because if you attempt to swim, your body is going to be buoyant, so it's going to give that water more control to pull you out. If you can't stand, walk to the side. As I said, it's like walking off a height and going into a trench. So if you can get back into that area and walk out, if you get pulled out, what we advise, to doggy paddle, swim if you can float, and go to the sides and then make a safe way out. So you go parallel to the shore and make your way out. One of the key things when you get sucked in is not to panic. If you're on a float, never jump off boogie. You have people when they get pulled out in this recurrent and they start to panic because they attempting to or they want to get to shore. They're seeing safety, they're seeing the shore. Here it is that you're being pulled out. You're gonna be a little scared. What I advise is you hold on that boogie board, wave, call for help. If you can pull to the side, you pull to the side. If you're a swimmer and you're swimming across and you get into that rip current, never attempt to swim up the current. It will just get you tired. As we said, rip currents do not pull you under, it pull you out. And the only reason you go if a wave come in and it tumble you or you get tired, eventually you go down.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, the sea, obvious, as we know, is a very unpredictable body of water. But how do currents work in rivers, which are also moving bodies of water?
Well, the most rivers they flow in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. and some currents are being formed because of the rocks, and because of the land or the bottom composition. River surface is not relatively always level, so where the water goes over the rock, you're going to have that height, and then you're going to have the drop, and with the volume you're going to have that flow, what you call the rapids. So there and then is where you have that area of currents or that flow of water in the river, whereas the sea is a lot different, where it is being created by the wave. And then sometimes you have where, rivers run, have a flow or that body of water coming down the river, and it goes on a little bend and hits the river bank, and that force of water bounces off and goes into a shallower area. It creates a force as well that causes that river or that flow of water. Tell yourself, the greater the
Nazir, unit, and they are giving us some really good information. I'm hoping that it's helping you as well. I'm sure on your way to the safety as J, child safety at the beach. Let's deal with that again.
Yeah, because we did bring it up earlier, but this is just to refresh your
memory,
memory.
your memory about child safety at the beach. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Wayne Drysdale. I'm a lifeguard working with the Ministry of National Security. Today I'm going to tell you how to be safe with children around water. Anytime you carry children into the water, always remember, you should always be within arm's reach of them. If you're in that area, any dangers you may spot, marine life, is the water pulling? These are dangers that can happen. With you that close, you will be able to recognize these dangers. Sometimes you put these kids in armbands. These armbands may lose air and the child may go underwater as well. Remember, teach children never to go in or around water without an adult around. When children go into the water and they may drift slightly with the current, when they come back out, children get lost. They may stray along the beach, go along the beach and get lost. Teach children how to identify lifeguard towers. They should go there, go to lifeguards as well. They are the ones that will be able to help them. Always teach them to swim near lifeguard. Remember, be water wise and save lives.
Live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Alright, folks.
So that was the video on child safety. Again, repeating some of the things that we mentioned earlier about staying close to the child when they're in the water, and reminding them that they're never to go into the water alone or go with an adult. And to be mindful of the lifeguards. Make sure the lifeguards as well can see you, as well as the adults. And make sure that the lifeguards can see you. Make sure and identify yourself to them, or make sure that you can see them while they're in the water.
Right. We have some guidelines for swimmers. Let's go to that one time. Q11K guidelines for swimmers.
Hi, my name is Allister, Lifeguard, Ministry of National Security. Today, we're going to talk about water safety. So beachgoers, know your ability. Never swim alone or swim at night, because you could be swept out and there's no one there to rescue you. Non and weak swimmers should not swim beyond waist depth. If that water is rough, never go beyond knee height. Flotation devices are very dangerous. Non-swimmers, weak swimmers should not engage in using flotation because you can be pulled out. They can be deflated, they can be punctured, or you can be pulled out by the current. If you get into difficulties, what should you do? Never jump off the flotation device. Hold on to it, raise your hands, call for help. Eating. Whenever you have a meal, wait 1 hour before venturing into swimming again. Lightning. If there's lightning and you're in the water, you need to get out immediately. Alcohol and water do not mix. Whenever you consume alcohol, you should not engage in swimming. It impairs your judgment, this damages your coordination. Learn to swim. Remember, be water wise and save lives.
So those are some tips for swimmers. If you are one of those who is brave enough, I want to say, because not everybody has that competency. But if you're brave enough to be swimming at our nation's beaches, some of the things that you need to bear in mind. I wanted to ask our lifeguards on duty here this morning, to explain why is it important for us not to enter the water after having consumed food or alcohol? What does that do to the body, and how does it affect the body in water?
That's a very good question. Now, when we consume a meal, the blood rushes to the stomach region in order to pick up all the nutrients, right? And if we go swim, the muscles require oxygen in order for it to be firing on all cells. So when the blood goes, it pulls to the stomach area, there's insufficient oxygenated blood going to the muscles. So what you think is going to happen at that point in time? You're going to cramp up, right? So you get cramps in the legs, and if you're not a very strong, or if you have not been trained to swim with one hand leg, like we the lifeguards who are trained to do that, you end up in some problems. Right, and with alcohol, we all know alcohol impedes your judgment. So it makes you feel like the late blacks, like Hulk. You feel you can conquer anything. You start to get overconfident, right? You don't know your own limits. And in many cases that we see on the beach, you tend to bring a partner or some girls, because you feel, you can conquer the world because the little drinks in your head, and you're telling them, yeah, come out, up here real nice, out here good, I can swim, I can take care of myself. And before you know it, it's all man for himself. And we, the lifeguard, now have to come and rescue you.
At any point in time, gentlemen, lifeguards will be given the powers of arrest, or can be given the powers of arrest. You all ever thought of that?
Well, at this point in time, I really I can't say.
No, that was a message I got from someone asking that question, because I mean,
much work for them to do.
I know, but can you imagine? I can just imagine what a day is like with people consuming alcohol on the beaches in our country, and the work that you all have cut out for you. When try to keep them safe and keep them, spare them from themselves.
Yeah.
We could just imagine.
Yes. It's very difficult, and we also have to. We have to provide customer service, because we have a lot of tourists that comes to the beach, and we have to maintain that friendly, welcoming, inviting. So it's such a unique job that requires so much of different areas in which we have to function in. right? So besides being a customer service to promote Trinidad and Tobago as a nice destination for the tourists and them to visit, we also have to look out for the kids who lost on the beach. We have to watch people who bathing. We have to make rescues. We have to attend to any first aid emergencies. So, it's quite vast. It's a broad field.
Yes.
And, I want to mention something on the video that you just showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the video, you saw a beach ball.
Yes.
Right. I want to mention that that is the worst thing that they ever invented.
Yes, boy.
For people to go on the beach with.
Yes, I agree.
A
Yes.
beach ball
Why
is the
is
worst
Why
thing.
is that?
That
It's
is super
like
hard easy.
wind carries it. So it can be easily blown out to sea.
Yes.
And as a non-swimmer, you're running on your ball because you don't want to lose your ball.
Thank you.
And you end up in difficulty. And even if you grab hold of the ball, it rolls in the water. There's no way to hold on to it.
That's right. That's right.
So I just wanted to reiterate that. A beach ball, please leave that for home in the swimming pool where you're supervised. Don't bring them on the beach, please. It just makes the job a little bit harder.
Yeah, I agree. That's
Yeah.
that is like try pushing that below water. You could never manage to do it because it rolls left, right, up. It
That's
bubbles
right,
up and down. Yeah, I could understand that. It's very hard to control that ball.
I want to believe that most of these flotation devices were really designed for the pool, and not for the beach.
Yeah.
But,
So while we're on the general guidelines for beachgoers,
Yeah.
I want to touch a little bit about water safety at home. I know we
Yes.
keep dealing with water safety on the beaches.
Yes.
Yes,
Bear in
please.
mind of the incident where the two child lost their lives. So I just want to touch on those a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
So, inflatable pools seem to be the popular thing now. Almost everybody have a little inflatable pool home. So we have to bear in mind when kids are around these inflatable pools, they are naturally curious about water, right? While these pools can be very fun and enjoyable, they can be also very dangerous. So my advice to people who have those pools at home, please, when you finish using them, deflate it, empty it, and pack it away. Don't just empty it and leave it there, because children will take a hose and they would fill it up and they will go into the water because they copy what they see the parents do. Right? In addition to that, if you have a pool that your car empty and put away, we advise that you fence it wrong, put a fence so that they won't accidentally go by the pool and fall in. Or you cover them and secure them well. Now, let me move away from the pool a little bit. Now, plenty of rural areas, we have barrels at home. We collect water, barrels, buckets, and stuff like that. You want to make sure and cover your barrels and also your buckets, because not so long ago, I remember of an incident where a toddler fell into a bucket.
Yes.
And that toddler died. So we have to be very mindful of these types of situations. And I will tell you one that most people don't really think about. As simple as your toilet bowl home. You might think that, okay, that's not so significant. But if you have a toddler, now a baby's head is the heaviest part of the body, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of top heavy, a little toddler. And they could easily slip into the toilet. As they see in the water, when they flush it, they might put their hands in to play with the water and fall in to that, causing some problems there. So we have to be mindful of that. Even the washing machine, they may think, well, okay, that's safe. But you fill the washing machine and you make a spin to turn your pot. And before you know it, the child climbs up, go head first into the washing machine.
Yeah.
So just to touch on a few of the home safety tips for our listener and viewing public.
Yeah, I thank you very much for that. And I wanted you as well to sort of explain the way you just described about the toddler's head being the heaviest part of the body. How is it possible? Because it kind of baffles me sometimes. How does a toddler or an infant drown in very little water? Like an inflatable pool, for instance, that probably has, just a couple of feet of water in it. how is it possible that a toddler could drown in that level of water?
Well, you see, it really doesn't take much water enter into the lungs
Right.
for that child to go into, to get itself into difficulty, right? Because as I mentioned, with freshwater drowning, it inhibits the oxygen molecules to pass into the blood. So let me say a mouth or two of water into the lungs is enough to cause respiratory distress for that toddler. So it doesn't take much at all. So you may think it's just a couple of inches, and I'm using inches just to reiterate, it really doesn't take much. As long as that water enters the baby lungs, the child's lungs, that is enough to put that child in respiratory distress.
Right.
How can you all contact? Do you all do training, the Lifeguard Services Division offer water safety training to the public? How can you be contacted?
Well, the Water Safety Education Department under the Ministry of National Security, we have the department which is called Water Safety Education, where we do water safety via PowerPoint. We do basic training in rescue skills for applicants who's of age, because age restriction in teaching basic rescue skills should not be permitted, and I would say that, because if individual or child do not or doesn't have that level of maturity to execute certain type of rescue, they are going to put their lives in danger. So we are very, very vigilant in the sense of who we extend, but we do have that department. You can contact us through the Ministry of National Security. I can give you a number. You can contact our department, and we'll have the lecture and the necessary training available to sensitize. We do some camps, we do NGOs, we even do a connection with different ministerial department where we do training as well. And it's all free. You just contact our department through Ministry of National Security, Lifeguard Services, and you could have the necessary training and lectures done in the lines of safety and water safety.
Thank you all very much. You all have been wonderful, very calm, cool, and collected with the information. And you all really taught us a lot here this morning. I would like to thank you all very, very much for spending the time with us this morning, and congratulate you all on the work that you're doing. And we wish you all, yes, to keep us safe. And we wish you all the best in the coming days and up to Easter weekend.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of work coming up, and we thank you all very much for your vigilance and your wanting to serve mankind.
And also, we will like to appeal to members of the public. If you are visiting any of the beaches where lifeguards are stationed, please follow the instructions, heed the warnings, listen to them, pay attention to what you're doing, and try and be safe. That's what the lifeguards are there for, to keep you safe.
Gentlemen, God bless you all. Thanks again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Well done. Excellent. Take care. Right, folks, so that's it for Mr. Livingston and Mr. Nazir. They made their contribution this morning. This morning we were about educating you. All right, and we hope that you appreciated it. You folks with us on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much. I wanna touch on something for the Woodbrook resident before we go. Anybody, Mr. Jacob, I should ask that this early this morning, Mr. Williams, Joanna, Mr. Jacob, if you're listening this morning, I wanna make an appeal to you all. We have a situation going on right now with Woodbrook residents, and I don't want it. We like to be reactive. Now, police, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and Dependency is a program that supports the police service without question. There's nobody could argue that. But there are times when we have to be proactive, because one day, and I guarantee you it, one day, somebody's going to lose their minds in Woodbrook. And somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to make themselves a martyr. Imagine 5:30 in the morning, you hearing loud music banging in front of a senior at home. Now, this is a program that we have to do again for the residents of Woodbrook because things are about to open up.
Things are opening up.
Things are opening up, and this Easter weekend here, but is it that we're going to wait until somebody decides to make themselves a martyr on behalf of the Woodbrook residents before this reach the Parliament and you're here in the Senate, and thank you, I want Ms. Archie and them to talk to the officers of Woodbrook Police Station, please. I know some of you all tend to get tired at times, and I know the work job can be overwhelming, but when you did the interview for recruit training, you tick all the boxes, yes. So when time to put that into action, the residents of Woodbrook want some help. They need your help. I am begging you all, please, because we've gotten some videos and we've gotten phone calls from people from Woodbrook of people, imagine 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 a.m. Men stand up with the door open, hard pong, and when residents speak to them, they're cursing out the residents. Somebody is going to sacrifice themselves one, and then we're going to have this discussion, and we intend to bring the discussion again. Should our alcohol hours be regulated? I don't see any reason why we should have alcohol selling in the middle of the week up to any day, anytime. It does not make sense. When are we going to start developing as a nation to understand that during the week we're supposed to stop selling alcohol at 11 midnight for the latest, and on a weekend you give them up to 3 o'clock? I know bar owners are going to complain because all they care about is money. That's it. They don't care about nobody else, nothing else but make money. All right, so we now as a nation would have to take the bull by the horns and give these residents in Woodbrook an ease. This is not the first time you're all hearing this. The residents of Woodbrook are up to their neck in bad behavior. And imagine at a second, look, a daytime video, 5:30 a.m. And this is what they're hearing. In front of home, in front of a senior citizen home, people. Tell me, this right? Would you like that to happen to your mother, where she lives, or your grandmother? So why can't we have the same love? What happened to Trinidad and Tobago? I miss the 70s and the 80s so much, where we cared about each other. And that seems to have gone through the window, because imagine somebody will reach out to you, please can you turn on your music? Call your mother so and so, and your mother this and your mother that, early in the morning. Yes.
We are leaving out a very important group of people, and those are the lawmakers. The persons we elect into office to make law, which is what we want to change. We want the law to be amended to reflect that. Oh, so you missed what that's what I was just saying. So I to what Garth was his lament this morning, and to say that we are leaving out a very important member of a group in this conversation, and those are the lawmakers, those that we elect to sit in the parliament and make laws to govern our country. So we want to amend the laws to say that persons who sell alcohol cannot do so after certain hours on certain days. That has to be done by elected representatives. So that if we as citizens want to make the change happen, we have to ensure that the persons we elect in these positions do what they're told, the persons who put them there. That is the only way these things will change.
It's sad. It's sad that people who serve this country, and they now decide to relax in an area where they deserve to, you getting caught out by people, and they call the station, the officers don't call here again. We tired here, you calling on board, and listen,
and that encourages the law enforcement, is because who is going to tell the police to do what they have to do? Who's policing the police? Who's demanding that the police take action when citizens call on them for help?
Yeah, and as I say, we don't about talk the police, we support the police on this program, but it comes a time when you have to, when you hear that phone call, think about it as your mother making a phone call to save her life, and you respond in kind. And don't just show up and tell them all the neighbors complaining, because there was a time it happened, one of the neighbors said, and as the police go on, they start to cuss up the neighbor.
I mean, a man got killed for Shadow Benny today. I mean, this week here,
yeah.
Shadow Benny. So you can imagine what to do if they sleep or rest or peace of mind is being disturbed.
Yes.
What will they do?
Yes.
Before you put that away, let me just say congratulations on behalf of our Dependency and Gary to Aaron Subero. He's the young SEA student. I think he's now in Form 2, yeah? Who topped the SEA in 2020. Aaron Subero and Miss Biku. Mira Biku was the student. They both topped the SEA in 2020, and we want to say congratulations to you both on behalf of our Dependency. Keep doing our nation and your families proud with your academic achievements.
So once again, Woodbrook police officers, and I know Mr. Archie is listening, I know Mr. Jacob is listening, and Mr. William as well, probably listening. Please beg your officers in Woodbrook to be more vigilant, more drastic if they have to, but because there are residents living among these clubs and bars, and as I said, these bars and clubs and the revelers do not care about these residents. They park up in front of their gate, they pee on the wall. Some resident told us, imagine one of them said they wanted to bust a you-know-what, and the fella say, you want, bust it right there on the pavement, man, drop the number 2 right there. That's our citizens for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about time our lawmakers get together once again
and deal with this.
And deal with the any day, anytime thing. Stop selling alcohol during the week at midnight.
We need to grow up with
on
this.
a weekend.
We need to grow up.
End of story. End of text. And the bars that flout it, you have undercover officers there, and from the time they sell a drink 1 minute after midnight, you take the license or suspend the license. I bet you once we launch an assault where that is concerned, at least show the citizenry that we care now. At least we care about them. It can't be just all about making money at the expense, as I said, the mid-80s and the 70s, because back then, I don't know what we've lost in Trinidad and Tobago, my friends, but we are really struggling now, a nation with regard to loving each other. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, I don't know if it's the American way, what way we adopted, but we've lost our way in places. Folks, we want to thank you all very much for staying with us this morning and getting yourself educated as usual. Sunday, please, we have another interesting installment of our Dependency for you. Up next, major news at 12.